Hello. 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 This is Dominic with TheBackVlog, and Robin walked away from me. And I am going to talk about Yakuza 4 because I just finished Yakuza 4 yesterday. I think 2025 is the year that I'm going to try to finish all of the Yakuza games. They're all down there. All the ones that I have, at least. I still have one left to get. But yeah, Yakuza 4 is the one that I'm going to talk about. And I'm not going to go too in-depth into it. As of at least the PS3 era Yakuza games so far, this is the best one. I think Yakuza 3 is the other one that I did, but Yakuza 3 definitely had its issues that I think Yakuza 4 definitely improved upon. The combat feels a lot better and a lot less wooden. And I think the inclusion of the 4 different protagonists that you can play as is a really welcome change for the Yakuza series, because you have like these different combat styles, which is really interesting. And in the story, towards the end, whenever you get to finally play as Kiryu again, you fight some of these protagonists, and it's really interesting because the combat styles that you have grown so accustomed to and like learned how to use and everything are now being used against you, which I think is really, really interesting. But yeah, like in those, like with those new characters that were introduced, Akiyama, I think Manimura, and Saejima. I don't remember. I think the detective's name was Manimura, but I do not remember. I think as new characters for the Yakuza series, there's Robin's ear. Robin. I think they're really, really good characters. I don't know the creator's name of the Yakuza franchise, but he did like a Metal Gear Solid 2 thing where you don't really play as Snake. You play as Snake for like a little bit, and you play as Kiryu for like a little bit, and you have the option to play as him little later on, like in the last part. You can choose whoever you want to play as, but for the majority of the game, you're playing as these people that you've never heard of, and I think the characterization that is done in the game does a very good job of making you sympathize with them and really, really enjoy them. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of them in the future entries. I see at the very least on the disc of 5. I see Akiyama. I think that's about it. Yeah, these are the discs here. And there's Akiyama right there. But I don't see the other new characters on here, so I don't know what's gonna happen with them. But yeah, in terms of the story, it was very complex comparative to other entries in the series. I read that a lot of people think that the middle Yakuza games are kind of like a mess. I don't really agree, but I do see where they're coming from because it is a lot. There's a lot to juggle, just like an HBO show. I think and one of the reasons I like these games is because they're soap operas for dudes, and it's insane. It's like, when you go into a Yakuza game, you're going to see dudes ripping off their shirts, and you're going to see people's loved ones getting kidnapped, and you're going to have all these twists and turns that are super contrived, and when they happen, like, it changes the lore irreparably, and I think it's hilarious. Every single Yakuza game, the climactic battle always takes place at the top of Millennium Tower. I'm pretty sure this is, I don't remember if Yakuza 0 does, but I'm pretty sure all the mainline. I mean, I guess Yakuza 0 is mainline also, but all the ones that I've played to so far, like the first 4, they all end up at the top of Millennium Tower. So I think that's a good trope. As for the side stuff, I didn't really do much of the side stuff just because I'm kind of like rushing through them to kind of get like the main story out of them, or just kind of like go through my backlog a little bit. So I do plan on coming back to some of these things in the future. But one thing I did look for, and I actually didn't do the karaoke in this. I always do the karaoke in 4. I did it in 3. I did like once or twice in 3, not too much though. But I went to Club Sega, and they only had that Boxelios game, from what I can tell, and that was the same thing with Yakuza 3 also. And like, what I liked about the Kiwami entries is that they had all, well, not all, but they had like some of the like classic arcade ports, which I think is really interesting. And there's a whole conversation to be had about how RGG Studios is doing something for arcade game preservation by including them as ports in Yakuza entries, which I think is really funny. But yeah, there wasn't much that I could see in either 3 or 4 in terms of like arcade cabinets and everything. I really like the Revelation system. I think it's hilarious, and I think because they introduced the Revelation system in 3 when Kiryu has his own blog. But now you have this relatively new system with the brand new characters that have been introduced in 4, and the way that they have their epiphanies, it differs from each character. And I think, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, because Kiryu still has his blog, but Saejima is given a wooden block, and like whenever he has a revelation, he just carves something on the spot. He carves like a wooden sculpture on the spot. I don't remember what Akiyama or Manimura do. I don't think I successfully got a revelation from them, but yeah, Yakuza 4 has, like any other Yakuza game, has its own fair share of silliness. Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say about this, just because, like, I did rush through it a little bit. But from what I could see, I do see myself coming back to Yakuza 4 much more than I see myself going back to Yakuza 3, just because, I think it's a more refined gameplay experience. And I like the story better, and obviously, like, Yakuza 3 has a really big pacing issue, and a lot of people don't like the introductory chapters, and I do kind of like them, because I think it's a vibe more than anything else. Like those first 4 chapters, you're in Okinawa, and you're just it feels like Shenmue when it's really slow, which I know is like mostly all of Shenmue, but I think it's got its charm. But this it combines the charm of Yakuza 3 and also the best parts about the best Yakuza games that I've played so far. As for my ranking of where 4 takes place, I mean, it's probably like my 3rd or 4th favorite. I've only played 5 of them so far, 0 through 4. But yeah, like, Yakuza 3 definitely has its issues. But I think maybe I'm just more forgiving of Yakuza 4. Maybe it has more flaws than I realize, but I'm more forgiving of it because I was just coming off of Yakuza 3, and that game definitely had its flaws. But overall, it's very good, and I'm honestly very excited to get through the rest of them. I got, take this thing out. I gotta go through 5 next. This is an empty PS3 case, because I guess 5 never came out physically in the United States. It only ever came out digitally. So whenever they released this remastered collection, I guess they released or it came with a mock PS3. game case, so you can put your Yakuza 5 on the shelf and make it look good. So I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, it adds more girth to this thing, which kind of sucks because, you know, the more things that you get that are like girthy, you know, that's gonna take up more space overall. So yeah, we don't like girth.